some of the events or a repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Tamir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man that go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
I'm getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
Touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations. America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get mad. Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got
DJ, turn it up, and I won't stop burning you down until there ain't nothing left. Rubble on top of rubble, and I'll still be bombing. Look like a wall, Richie. Look like a wall. You didn't say no. Look like a wall, Richie. Look like a wall. You didn't say no. Nobody knows why liars lie. Winners are not allowed to allow losers to rewrite history. It's God's side and the other side. Country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good, but can be, and look like Mr. Potato Head.
I didn't want to be a movie star.
No, you couldn't be a movie star. Ricky Smiley can't act, cause Ricky Smiley can't act. Why is he in a dress again? He didn't be wanting to body, and you gotta tell him no. Sid ain't got no special, you remember? Eve ain't got no special, you remember? Ricky ain't got no special, you remember? Sir, I have 12 comedy specials. P. Diddy or whoever you is, DJ, turn it up, and I won't stop burning you down until there ain't nothing left. Rubble on top of rubble, and I'll still be bombing. Look like a wall, Richie. Look like a wall. You didn't say no. Look like a wall, Richie. Look like a wall. You didn't say no.
Oh, Cat is a fool. All right. All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again to the Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. All right. So let's get into it. This is your daily vitamins. Hey, Reggie, Dragon Lily, Brand Slayer TV, Regina, Leon, Khalid, Harleem, Laverne. All right. Reggie said unaffiliated black media. That's right. Okay. Dragon Lily said listening while working. All right, beloved. Queen Amoni Huey in the house. Al Rich is here. Desmond, Nessie X. Shout out to my moderators putting in work. Miss Lucilla, y'all. Lucilla, y'all. I hope I'm saying that right. Ethelene is here. All right, Miss Peaches. All right. Lana L is in the house. Let's get into it, Ethelene. I see you. Okay, everyone get those likes up. Y'all know they have the Queen Shadow Band. Stop playing. They have me shadow banned on all channels. Pensy Lola, I see you, Nicole. All right, so let's get black into it, people. Let's get black into it. Brand Slayer TV in the house. Laverne, Nicole. All right, we in here. Desmond said, is that Nancy Drew? Yes, it's me. All right, Queen Shay in the house. Edward. Okay. Reggie said, shout out to the moderators. I know that's right. Okay, so let's get into it. Hey, RG Titan. Listening while working. Okay. With that all being said, let's get into it. Now, you all remember I told you like a week ago about the 215 bodies that were found behind the jail in Jackson, Mississippi. So nefarious. And how it all started when back in March the 5th of 2023, when Dexter Wade left home, never to be seen or heard from again. And he was reported missing. So once they found out where he was, then other families started to find their relatives. So now we have an update. Benjamin Crump is on the case. He, along with attorney Dennis Sweet. And so Benjamin Crump and one of the mothers did an interview. So I'm going to go to that. They say families in disbelief after hundreds of bodies found buried behind Mississippi jail. Now, this came out yesterday, so this is clearly an update. So let's get into it. Hey, Prince of Paraphernalia. All right, get those likes up. 103 in the chat. Let's make the likes match the people in the chat, beloveds. Here we go.
Begin by saying how very sorry we are for your loss, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you all too.
I understand, Ms. Wade, you contacted the Jackson Police Department after reporting that your son was missing several times, even after he had been buried without your knowledge. Give us a sense of what they told you over those many months and what those months were like for you, not knowing where your son was.
Well, it was devastating to me because I didn't know where he were. And then I was calling them. They didn't have no information to let me know, have they, found any information. All the, details that I gave them for leads, they never came back to me to say, well, that lead led to something that we can work with. And I just couldn't believe that he had disappeared off the face of earth and nobody knows where he at. And it was just horrible for me. And every day I wake up, I just look, just looking for him, just out in the streets looking for him. And I mean, that's heartbreaking for a mother. And can't say hello, don't know how to get in touch with him. That is a horrible thing for a mother.
Mr. Crump, after it was discovered that Dexter had been killed, that he had been buried in this grave, his body was exhumed in November. There was an autopsy conducted. He was given a proper burial. But I also understand a wallet was found in his front pocket with his ID, his home address, his insurance card. What's the explanation officials give for why no one was notified he had been killed and buried?
There really is no explanation that they have offered. They claimed that they tried to reach out to Ms. Bettison, and you should know that Ms. Bettison is the named plaintiff in a lawsuit against the Jackson Police Department because they killed her brother 3 years earlier. She went through 2 criminal trials, had several press conferences. So when they called her house, if they did call her house like they claimed, they knew where she lived. They knew how to get in contact with her if they really wanted to notify her that her son Dexter had been hit by a police car. So it is very suspicious that they would just bury him in a pauper's grave because they said they could not identify his next of kin. Ms. Bettison does not accept it, and because of her tenacity, it has exposed all of these loved ones being dropped in a hole in a bag behind a Mississippi jail.
Mr. Crump, the Jackson mayor did say there were mistakes. He also just said that Dexter Wade's death was a tragic accident. He said there was no malicious intent in failing to notify the family. We know the police department has new notification procedures right now. What recourse are you specifically seeking right now for these families you represent?
We're seeking to have the Federal Department of Justice come in and do an investigation to make sure that each and every one of these citizens, disproportionately Black citizens whose lives matter, will be identified, their families notified, and them given a proper funeral.
And I should say, Ms. Wade, I mentioned families because you are not alone here. There's been, in the last few months, the discovery at least 2 other men, 40-year-old Mario Moore and 39-year-old Jonathan Hankins, were also killed and buried in that same cemetery, and their families not notified for months. From your perspective, Ms. Wade, what do you want to see happen now?
Well, first of all, I feel like that the city needs to give me an acknowledgement to say that, hey, I'm sorry. I mean, just give me some kind of closure and explain to me what actually happened to my son on that freeway that night. How did it actually occur? Just what went down, the events that went down with it. And I want to see justice. I want to see justice done for this because it's wrong. It's wrong to take somebody's child and bury them in a field and I didn't even get a last chance to say anything to my child, or either I didn't even get a last chance to just say, baby, I love you. Just to look down on them and say, baby, I love you. They haven't even came and called me and said, Miss Wade, could you come down and we explain to you what happened? I mean, I haven't even got a word. And so how do that feel? That makes you feel like they are guilty. They are guilty of a crime because They can't tell you what happened.
Ms. Wade, do I understand correctly that the mayor, no one from the police department has reached out to you to explain what happened to your son?
No, no one have reached out to me to say, explain it, to explain what happened to my son. But I did at least have city supervisors, the board supervisors to say, that they hated what happened to me. But I haven't had said anything. Nobody from JPD, Jackson Police Department, have came to me and acknowledged me.
Mr. Crump, the story gets even more disturbing with this discovery of 215 bodies in that cemetery. What do we know about those bodies?
We know based on the records from the coroner's office that since 2016, in the last 8 years, we can identify 215 individuals that were buried behind that jail, and their families have not been notified. Furthermore, Mr. Wade was number 672. That means there are 671 other people buried behind that jail, marked with only a number.
Mr. Crump and Ms. Betterson Wade, I thank you so much for joining us tonight. I have a feeling we'll be following up on this story in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is all so crazy. It's all so crazy. Now, how do they explain that? And so now they're saying that the man had a wallet on him. Now, they didn't say that at first. They said it was a prescription pill bottle with his name and address, and that they tried to reach out. But as I told you before, they had already taken the life of Dexter Wade's uncle. And so there was an open case. So just like Benjamin Crump said, they knew where this woman was. So had they actually called her as they claimed and no one answered, they couldn't get in touch with anyone, well, they knew where the house was. And they knew who that man was. This is all so crazy. They're lying. I think that something else happened to him. I don't think that he was just struck by an officer off duty accidentally. I don't think so. Because if that were the case, well, then why not reach out to them? What hospital did they take him to after he was struck? Or was he dead on arrival? Was he instantly killed? Did he go to the hospital? I have a whole lot of questions. Okay. Reggie said, I would also exhume and check for organ harvesting. Speaking of organ harvesting, I'm glad you brought that up. Hold on just a second. I knew it was something I forgot. Hold on. Let me pull this up. Now, this happened in Alabama. And here's an update from 6 hours ago. Man who died in Alabama prison was reportedly returned to family without organs. Okay, somebody told me about this yesterday, and then I have forgotten about this. Okay, so now this is from 6 hours ago. So they say a man died in custody of Alabama's Corrections Department and was reportedly returned to his family without organs, including his brain. Now, the news, which broke earlier this week, is the second recent case involving allegations of missing body parts from people in Alabama prisons. The U.S. prison system has been widely criticized for its poor treatment of inmates. Charles Edward Singleton, age 74, who was housed at the state's Hamilton-aged and infirm custody facility, died in November of 2021. Following Singleton's death, the pathology department at the University of Alabama performed an autopsy on his body, according to a family member who spoke to the news station. This is what they said. Now, they say Singleton's family requested his body be sent to a funeral home in Pell County, about 2 hours away. However, ABC 3340 reported the funeral home's director informed Singleton's family that it would be difficult to prepare his body for viewing due to its noticeable state of decomposition, adding that there was advanced skin slippage. This is all crazy. How long was this man dead before they decided to notify the family? all suspicious. Now, Singleton's family was informed that there were no organs in his body and that his brain had been removed, according to court filings that were reviewed by ABC 3340. Now, his family was also informed that organs are usually placed in a bag and put back inside bodies following autopsies. Singleton's family requested the University of Alabama to return his organs, but said they never received them, per the court filings. So where did those organs go to? In a statement to ABC 3340, the University of Alabama said, we do not comment on pending litigation. We only conduct autopsies with consent or authorization and follow standard procedures equitably for anyone consented to authorize for an autopsy. Okay, now the autopsy practice is accredited by the College of American Pathologists and staffed by credentialed physicians who are certified by the American Board of Pathology. They say in an autopsy, organs and tissues are removed to best determine the cause of death. Autopsy consent includes consent for final disposition of the organs and tissues unless specifically requested, and then organs are not returned to the body. Now, that's only if it's specifically requested, which it wasn't. Now, it added that UAB is among providers that providers, okay, that are consistent with Alabama law, conduct autopsies of incarcerated persons at the direction of the state of Alabama. Now, a panel of medical ethicists reviewed and endorsed our protocols regarding autopsies conducted by incarcerated persons. In a statement to The Guardian, Alabama's Correctional Department says that the ADOC does not comment on pending litigation. Further, the ADOC does not authorize or perform autopsies. Once an inmate dies, the body is transported to the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences, or the UAB, for autopsy. Okay, depending on several factors, including but not limited to region and whether the death is unlawful, suspicious, or natural. In another similar case, the family of 43-year-old Brandon Clay Dotson, who was incarcerated and died in prison last November, have been struggling to determine the whereabouts of his heart. Dotson's mother and sister spent 5 days trying to claim his body after his death. When he was finally returned to them, they reported bruising on the back of his neck and excessive swelling across his head. They may have killed this man to get his organs, honey. I don't know what's really going on here. This is all very nefarious. They need to have the feds go down there and investigate and find out what's going on, because somebody is lying. Now, a lawsuit filed by Dotson's family and reviewed by Fox News said they hired their own pathologist to conduct an autopsy, as they were unsure of how Dotson died and never received even a death certificate. Now, the lawsuit alleges that Dotson's heart was missing from his chest cavity. It added that it was reasonable for plaintiff to believe that Dotson's heart was removed for an improper purpose, namely to be sent to UAB for the purpose of providing UAB SOM, University of Alabama Hersnick School of Medicine students with a laboratory specimen to experiment on or study. Don't they have to have the parents' consent for that? The family's consent? Now, a university spokesperson told Fox News that UAB did not perform this autopsy and has not been involved in this matter. Nevertheless, Dotson's family have asked for a list of all organs that have been removed or retained from people who were incarcerated and died in the state's correction facilities since 2013. Now, they say this document is critical to fulfill the third measure sought in the motion for temporary restraining order and the practice of improperly and potentially illegally retaining organs for autopsies without providing notice or seeking consent from the family members of the deceased. And this is all according to the lawsuit. In a statement on the Dotson case, Alabama's Corrections Department told The Guardian there was an evidentiary hearing in the Dotson case last week. The ADOC is currently awaiting the court's decision following the presentation of evidence. This is happening in Alabama. Okay, now we all should know by now that Alabama and Mississippi are two of the worst southern states to live in, okay? And this is what's going on. This is also sick. That would be unethical, says Nicole. Yes, absolutely. Solo Dolo said no studies. Wayne World said, sounds like an organ mill. Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
What's really going on? This is all crazy. But anyway, I digress. Now let's talk about Fani Willis. Hold on. Okay, because here's the thing. Now they said DA Fani Willis, they are accusing DA Fani Willis of profiting off the Trump case. Now, so what they said basically is a few days ago, they said that this woman had hired her lover or boyfriend, boy toy, whatever you want to call him. They said she hired this guy that she's having a romantic relationship with or an entanglement. Okay. And so she hired him for Trump's case to prosecute it. And they said this man's not even qualified, that he's never tried a high profile case ever. He lacks experience. And not to mention the money that he's been paid to do so, is an excessive amount. And not to mention, they're saying that him and her went on a trip and that it was funded by the money that he made. So sounds a little bit unethical. And I'm quite sure that Trump's team is going to use this to try to get him off. But he's going to have to deal with those cases. I don't know whether he's going to prison, but he's definitely going to have to deal with those cases. Now, here's what they say. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Trump's team hunts for more dirt. Didn't I tell you all? Trump's people out here looking for more dirt, okay? He's not getting out of it. Please sit down, Trump. Trump's team hunts for more dirt to tank Georgia election interference case. Donald Trump and his close allies and attorneys are exploring ways to weaponize recent unverified claims that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has engaged in an improper relationship with special prosecutor working for her. Now, through the veracity of the allegations, or though the veracity of the allegations is unknown, Trump land is already discussing different ideas for marshaling considerable resources to try and dig up even more dirt, among other things. Willis's sex life and her money, all in an effort to shut down the criminal case against the former president and his associates. This is all what the attorney close to Trump says, honey. What do they think this even has to do with Trump's case? Because let's just say they fire her, whatever, suspend her, whatever they do. All they're going to do is get somebody else to prosecute him like Trump, have several seats. Now, on Monday, an attorney for one of Trump's co-defendants, former campaign aide Michael Roman, dropped a bombshell in the Georgia election interference case, alleging that Willis has been romantically involved with her office's special prosecutor, Nathan Wade, who has been paid $654,000 so far for his work on the case. Now, this is all according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Citing sources close to both the special prosecutor and the district attorney, the former Trump aide's lawyer argued in a motion that Willis has personally and illegally benefited from this arrangement and that she and Wade should be disqualified from prosecuting the case. Well, like I see, they're just going to get somebody else. Now, Roman was charged alongside Trump in a sweeping indictment alleging that he, Trump, and 17 others all violated the state's racketeering statute while attempting to overturn the 2020 election results in Georgia, among other alleged crimes. There's no proof yet that these claims are accurate, and Willis has not yet responded to them. That hasn't stopped Trump world. First they called him Trump land, and now they're calling him Trump world. These people are messy. Okay, do you hear me? It said that hasn't stopped Trump world from rushing to capitalize on the allegations, which they hope will allow the former president and his associates to shut down the criminal case that presents one of the most serious threats of actual prison time for Trump. So adding to the intrigue, the Wall Street Journal reported that Fani received a subpoena on Monday to testify in Wade's pending divorce case in Georgia's Cobb County. The divorce proceedings remain sealed. What do you all have to say about this, honey? Let me go to the footage because this is all nefarious. This is what's going on in Georgia. Somebody send me a plane. Somebody send me a private plane. Not Epstein's, though. Somebody send me a plane so I can get up out of here. Political Win said, Queen, did you ever speak about them used with the underground tunnels in New York? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, I talked about it on the other channel, beloved. But just so you know, I also did a TikTok about it. And so the whole thing with that was when the police came, you know, they had the construction crew there Monday morning to fill in the tunnel. And because they found out about it because numerous people that are residents in the area were complaining about hearing noises underneath their homes. So that's how they found out about the tunnel, okay, some time ago. Well, when it was found out by the leadership, mind you, the leadership probably already knew as far as I'm concerned, but once they knew that other people knew, then they called in the construction people to come and pour cement and to seal the tunnel. But the younger people, some of them students, grown students, of course, they didn't want to allow the police or the construction crew near the tunnel. So they took hammers and started busting out the bricks in the synagogue, just acting crazy, throwing stuff over, just tearing up everything, just fighting with the police, jeering at them, poking fun, all of that, and just being very chaotic. And they said they were not going to allow them to fill in that tunnel after it took them years to build it. Now, when asked what the tunnel was for, they alleged that it was so that they could get from the synagogue to the women's bath that was closed down, like somewhere across the street or whatever. I don't believe that. Why would they be causing all this melee and chaos just to get to a building that's already closed down? I think it was for trafficking. And that's why I believe that people heard noises underneath their homes. They probably heard people being shuffled through there or smuggled, whatever you want to call it, through those tunnels. That's just what I think. Okay, and the police have not said themselves exactly what was going on in those tunnels. So it's all nefarious. At the end of the day, they're out there fighting the police and doing all this stuff. Some of them even literally threw their bodies in the tunnels to prevent the construction workers from pouring the concrete. And about 10 of them were arrested. Okay, that's how that went. So they had to be doing something nefarious. That's all I'm saying. Had to be doing something they had no business doing. Oh, so darn crazy. But let me share my screen so you all can see this. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. A Political Win said, I concur. It's the tip of the iceberg in trafficking. Yes, I absolutely believe so. Absolutely believe it. Okay, here we go.
Scandal is rocking President Trump's case in Georgia.
According to a court filing, Willis and the special prosecutor vacationed together.
Barn burner of a motion.
Just some of the coverage from, you might say, some members of the partisan media on the right talking about Fulton County DA Fani Willis, who's prosecuting former President Trump. She's accused of an improper relationship with the special prosecutor on the case. The left has ignored the story altogether. No surprise there. We're going to just cover it fairly because it is news. This is the woman who charged Donald Trump with racketeering. The motion to dismiss the case comes from one of the defendants in Trump world, a man named Michael Roman. Filing says Willis and Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade have engaged in improper relationship, otherwise known as an affair, clandestine personal relationship during the pendency of this case, which has resulted in the special prosecutor and in turn the district attorney profiting significantly from this prosecution at the expense of the taxpayers. Goes on to say, since being appointed, the special prosecutor received from Georgia taxpayers almost $1 million in legal fees. And now the interesting part. The filing says Wade, the prosecutor's alleged Parmador, used the money he's received from the DA office to buy trips for him and Willis to places like Napa Valley, Florida, even a cruise in the Caribbean. To be fair, there's no documentation of those purchases. But if true, the allegations are completely changing to the Trump case. It doesn't necessarily mean the case is closed for Trump and his co-defendants, but it does change everything. Chandel Summer, former public defender in Fulton County, Georgia, now does divorce and criminal law. The court now accepts you as an expert on this matter. Is it as big of a bombshell as some are making it out to be?
Yes, it's huge. The thing is, when you have a criminal case and there's also a companion civil case with it, it gives you a complete advantage because you're able to use the civil discovery procedures to get information you might not be able to get in a criminal case. And Nathan Wade, the special prosecutor who was hired by Fani Willis to work on this case at an extraordinarily high amount, $1 million over a year and a half, is going through a divorce. And in that divorce action, the divorce attorneys have been able to access his bank records and his credit card receipts. And now they've noticed Fani Willis for a deposition in late January, where she will almost surely be forced to plead the Fifth Amendment because adultery is still a crime in the state of Georgia. So she cannot really admit to adultery. It would be a bad look.
You think about this, yeah, no kidding. The prosecutor takes the Fifth. That will be the headline, right? And you think about this, invoices for White House meetings, this is tangential. Wade billed 8 hours of work at $250 an hour for a May 23rd, 2022 event listed as travel to Athens, conference with White House counsel, $2,000 for an interview with DC White House. Both meetings well before the Trump indictment, 3 days after Trump launched his 2024 campaign. This is the question. If all of this is true, right, and if the trips are true, if all of this is true, does that necessarily mean the case against Trump and the co-conspirators gets thrown out, or only that it's delayed?
It probably does not mean that the case gets thrown out. And really, the nexus between the federal contact by Nathan Wade and the trips that he billed, to me, don't really have that much of a bang for the buck. The most important thing is that she received kickbacks from him being employed by her to represent the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. That's a crime. You can't get kickbacks as a public official. She's
there's a conflict of interest of hiring somebody that you're involved in an affair with. I mean, none of this is good.
Not really. Not really.
Yeah, it just looks bad. It just looks
bad. It's a bad look.
We've all been waiting, right? Because Georgia's the place that has cameras in the courtroom. Therefore, Donald Trump would be on camera for this trial that's going to take place that everybody's excited about, or the left's very excited about, I should say. Does this mean that that's not going to happen until after the election, if it happens at all?
I don't think it will happen before the election, just because of the deconfliction of scheduling. He has 4 cases right now, and all of them are in line before this case, not to mention the fact that you've got 15 lawyers and 15 defendants in this case, and each one of them is going to have a lot of time with each witness. You've got
it makes perfect sense. Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense. The bombshell, though, is that the prosecutor takes the Fifth. I mean, that just sort of changes the conversation. Shandell, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Back to you as news warrants on this story, which I think it will, especially when the deposition happens. Thanks for watching.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Fani did anything shady, I mean, you know, she should get consequences like anybody else. But that doesn't mean that Trump's just going to get to walk away scot-free, neither he or the other 17 defendants. They're just going to be tried by somebody different. That's how that's supposed to go. I don't see what that has to do with one thing has to do with the other. At the end of the day, if she did it, I hope she gets consequences, because I don't care for Fani. I really don't. And I don't care who she is or what color she is. If she's doing unethical things, well, then she needs to get what's coming to her. Period, point blank. And then, you know, some people may not want her to get any consequences, as I heard someone say yesterday, just because they don't like Trump. Here's the thing. I don't like Trump either. But that doesn't have anything to do with her not getting consequences if she's in the wrong. And furthermore, if it were somebody in their family, would they really be saying they don't want her to get any consequences and they don't care? Of course they would. Sit down somewhere. Okay? Selective outrage is not a thing, people. It is not a thing. Everyone should get the same treatment, no matter who you are or what race you are, period. No matter what your credentials, accolades, or your position. That's just how it should go. All right, Trump's still going to face those charges. Trump was out there talking about he needs immunity. Talk about the president should have immunity in all of this because the president needs to be able to do his job. First of all, Trump, you're not the president, beloveds. You're no longer the president. So what are you talking about? Is he saying that he should have gotten immunity for the whole thing that started January the 6th of 2020? Well, a little late for that. It's a little late for that, buddy. All right? But just let me tell you all, because, honey, they just schooled me. Because I didn't know adultery was illegal in Georgia. Did any of you guys know that adultery is illegal? Say what? Once in the chat, if you knew adultery was illegal, honey, what is this? The scarlet letter, like somebody said in the chat? I have several questions. This is all crazy. Timber Dan said he needs immunity from Trump. Who's been out here committing adultery so I can get y'all locked up? I'm snitching. Let me just tell you what states it's illegal in. Please pay attention. I just looked it up after they said Georgia because I had no idea. Ooh, honey, I know a few of my friends that are going to be in big trouble. Them and their husbands. Please pay attention. This is all crazy. Okay, so I'm joking. My friends don't cheat. Only one of them does. But anyway. Okay, so listen. Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Kansas, Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, and Mississippi. If you live in any of those states and you're out here committing adultery, you're going down. Because it's illegal. You're going down. Wayne World said, don't do it, Queen. You're going down. Queen Sam said, lock up the state. Okay, this is all crazy. Dan said Minnesota. Yes, Dan, Minnesota. Okay, that means you. Please pay attention. I mean, they would put you in jail for anything these days. They probably only lock up people who look like me for adultery. Please pay attention. That's probably why we didn't even know it was illegal. But I digress. This is all crazy. This is all crazy. So now let's talk about this man by the name of Ronnie Long, who did 25 years in prison and has now been exonerated. He just won a nice chunk of change for a settlement. Of course, that doesn't negate the fact that they took years of his life when he was absolutely innocent. So let's talk about it. This man is from North Carolina. Oh, I'm sorry. He did not 25 years, honey, 44 years in prison with a wrongful conviction, and all he got was $25 million. He should have at least gotten $1 million for every year that he did. This is all nefarious. So anyway, here's what they say. A North Carolina man who served more than 44 years in prison after being wrongfully convicted in 1976 has reached a historic $25 million combined settlement in a civil lawsuit, according to his attorneys. Now, Ronnie Long, 68 years old, settled a civil lawsuit against the city of Concord, North Carolina, about 25 miles northeast of Charlotte and North Carolina and the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation, according to the Duke's Law School, the law school's wrongful convictions clinic. Long's total settlement includes $22 million from the city and a previous $3 million settlement from the State Bureau of Investigation. Now, the clinic, which represents Long, said the settlement is the second largest wrongful conviction settlement ever recorded. Well, I'm quite sure. Look at how much time he spent. This is also sick. Now, the settlement puts an end to the wrongful incarceration lawsuit that was filed by Long's attorneys in 2021 and also included a public apology from the city of Concord. They could keep the apology. I wouldn't even want it at this point. Okay, you cannot tell me enough sorries to make it make sense. Now, Sonia Pfeiffer, one of Long's attorneys, noted the rare apology and told USA Today that it was crucial for Long's healing process and vital to the settlement. Not for me, it wouldn't have been. The city acknowledged Tuesday its responsibility for the significant errors in judgment and willful misconduct by previous city employees that led to Long's wrongful conviction and imprisonment. They said, we are deeply remorseful for the past wrongs that caused tremendous harm to Mr. Long, his family, friends, and our community. This is what the Concord City Council had said in a statement. While there are no measures to fully restore Mr. Long and his family, all that was to restore all that was taken from them through this agreement, we are doing everything in our power to right the past wrongs and take responsibility. Please miss me with all. I don't want to hear any of this foolishness. Now, Long, who is black, was convicted by an all-white jury in 1976 for the drape without the D of a prominent white woman in Concord, according to the Wrongful Convictions Clinic. Now, the jury had been selected by local law enforcement leaders who removed potential black jurors from the jury pool. But you're supposed to be tried by a jury of your peers. Okay, please pay attention. Now, despite no physical evidence connecting Long to the drape and burglary he was accused of. His attorney said the prosecution used the victim's identification of Long as their main piece of evidence. So let me tell you all something about that. So they used the victim's identification. Well, they didn't have one shred of evidence. Here's the thing. I went to school for criminal justice. I have 2 degrees in it. With that all being said, one thing that they teach us is that eyewitness testimony is not ever really sufficient. Okay. In fact, it's usually wrong. And just to prove it, we were sitting in class one day and out of the blue, some man runs into the class, snatches something off the podium where the professor is, and runs out quick as a dash. Now, of course, this was all staged, but we didn't know it. We weren't expecting it to happen. So when the guy ran in there and snatched something off of the desk, the professor asked us all, what was the guy wearing? What did he look like? Everybody give a description. It was so many different descriptions. Okay? So I'm telling you that when something happens quick, fast, and in a hurry, or something tragic that traumatizes a person, 9 times out of 10, their depiction, their description is not going to be wholly accurate. Okay, so this is all so crazy. They sent this man to prison for all this time based on eyewitness testimony, and that's just it. And some people think that all of us look alike, so make that make sense. But anyway, I digress. Goes on to say, but the prosecution's evidence was the product of a suggestive identification procedure arranged by the police to target Long, who did not match her original description of the assailant as a yellow or really light-skinned black male. So she said it was somebody light-skinned, and then they tried to get her to say it was him, and clearly that's what she did. So she lied. Because if she first said a light-skinned man, that man's darker than me. This is all crazy. Evidence collected from the crime scene and a local hospital included more than 40 fingerprints that did not match any of Long's, and an R-word kit, a drape without the D kit, were not shared with the defense. So they withheld evidence, okay, during the period of discovery. So this was all prosecutorial misconduct. And they know this was low down and dirty. They railroaded this man. Please pay attention. Now, at the time of the trial, Concord Police Department officers gave false testimony about the evidence. Long, 21 years old at the time, received 2 life sentences. After serving 44 years, 3 months, and 17 days in prison, he was released in 2020. So he got 2 life sentences for a drape without the D. People commit murder and don't get that much time. Why would they give him 2 life sentences? Clearly, they were railroading him. But let me continue. Now, Long had appealed his case in February of 2020, and a federal appeals court ruled that Long's due process rights were violated at his trial, according to the clinic. Long's conviction was then vacated, and he was released from prison on August 27th of 2020. And then later that year, North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper granted him a full pardon of innocence. In 2021, a state commission awarded Long $750,000 as compensation for victims of wrongful incarceration. $750,000 really after 44 years in prison. He then sued the federal court in Raleigh, North Carolina. And see, they thought that when they gave him that $750K, that he was just going to be so thrilled and just take that. That's what they thought. I'm glad he sued them. No amount of money, this is what he says, or someone for the Innocence Project, I think, says this: no amount of money will ever compensate Ronnie Long for the 44 years he spent incarcerated and the indifference of numerous elected officials who fought to keep him incarcerated despite overwhelming evidence of his innocence. This is what Jamie Lau, a Duke Law clinical professor and Long's criminal attorney, said in a statement. Now I want you to pay attention. So they fought, politicians and all, elected officials. They fought to keep this man in prison, even though there was a bunch of evidence to show that he was innocent. You know why that's real crazy to me, and quite frankly, ironic? Because Carolyn Bryant, now, mind you, there was plenty of evidence to show that she was guilty, and they did everything they could to keep her out of prison. Please pay attention. And let's not forget that they found in an old jail in the basements a warrant that was issued for her in 1959. But they just found this, a few years ago? And she was able to just die at her son's home, okay, in hospice care. Didn't have any consequences for her nefarious actions, of having Emmett Till's life taken because of her nefarious lies. And some people still have the nerve to say believe all women. Yeah, I don't think so. All right, I don't think so. Specifically, not Karen's. But let me continue. Goes on to say, while he was in prison, his parents passed away. He missed birthdays, graduations, funerals, and other important events that mark a person's life. This is what his attorney said. He can never get this time back. Now, since 1989, there have been over 3,400 exonerations where exonerated people spent more than 31,000 years combined in prison for crimes they did not commit. And this is according to the National Registry of Exonerations. The number of exonerations has also grown by almost 70% since 2017, 3,200 compared to 1,900. The registry said that in its 2022 report on wrongful convictions in the United States, that it was 3,200 from 2017 compared to 1,900 from the 2022 report. This is also sad. You see, this is why when I was in college, one of the things that I did was I worked for the Innocence Project, okay? Work for the Innocence Project. And you have to be a law student to do that. This is all crazy. I want you all to pay attention. It's all crazy. Anyway. They are hunting for black bodies to fill those cells. Shaking my head, says Wayne World. Yep, slavery didn't end. They just want us to think it did. It's all nefarious. Now listen to this, because this story right here is very nefarious. Okay, let me tell you all about it. I was so mad when I heard this. Now, this wasn't even my child, and I was ticked off. Michigan parents sue the school. Hold on. I'm going to show you all the video. So some Michigan parents are suing the school because their daughter, I think she's autistic. Well, she was going to the school and they were transitioning her without the parents' knowledge, turning her into a boy. They were calling her by a boy name, even gave her pronouns. And the parents didn't know anything of it, but they happened to find out. So let's get into it, because I'm going to share the video for this. Is also nefarious. This is what they're doing to people's children. You all need to be mindful, and that's why I, always promote homeschooling of your children, because this is crazy. You're sitting up there turning somebody's child into a whole a male when it's a female, and then calling them by a male name. And you got it all in their paperwork, but then when you send the paperwork home to them, you change it and put the real name just to hide the fact that they're doing this. And then they gave 0 Fs when the parents complained about it. They sure did. 0 Fs. Please pay attention. Let me make sure I'm pulling up the right video. Hold on, beloveds. I don't know which one of these is which. Let me see here. Let me see if this is it.
Mr. Chairman, is this a joke?
Nope.
She's right.
Hold on. I'm just gonna pull it up from my email. This is all crazy. Likes up, everyone. Please get those likes up. Thank you in advance. Here we go.
School for some time, trying to help figure out how to best help our daughter academically with the struggles she was having as it pertained to her autism. In that process, we worked pretty closely for some time with various school officials, but it came to our attention that during this time that the school was actually hiding the fact that they were socially transitioning our daughter from being a male or from being a female to a male. using a male name instead of her given name, treating her like she was a boy instead of a girl.
And the school went so far as to actually alter documents. So the documents that went home to the Meads, they would erase the male name and male pronouns and put back in her female name and her female pronouns to hide that information. And so this social transition went on for several months before the Meads realized what was happening. And they found out because when the counselor went through to change documents, she missed one. And so one went home with the male name and male pronouns. And so the Meads, that led the Meads to discover what was going on.
We were working very closely with the school to try and come up with a plan for her because her grades were she was failing. So she was struggling academically. She was struggling emotionally. She had high anxiety. She was depressed. Most days she was pretty sad, and we were feeling a little bit desperate on what can we do to help our daughter. So I was working with the counselor who was then going, explaining all of this information to the teacher, sharing information from them, confidential information. So the counselor and I had a relationship, and I trusted her. I was sharing confident information so that we could help support our daughter. And our trust was broken when they hid this information from us, and this was hurting our daughter. Without this critical information, we were not able to help her like we should have been able to help her. I mean, we know our daughter best. We love our daughter more than anyone, and that was very important for us to know that so that we could help her thrive. And they were hiding this from us. This is critical information. This is life-changing information that they were keeping from us intentionally.
For a school to hide information from parents about their child, especially something as difficult for a kid as their identity or struggling with their identity. Parents have the fundamental freedom to direct the upbringing, education of their children. And the Supreme Court has repeatedly confirmed that. And that means that parents need the information to be able to do that well. This involves upbringing, education, medical decision-making down the road, because a child who is socially transitioned at school is more likely to seek other medical interventions down the road that are going to have lifelong consequences. And the school, when called on their actions, just threw up their hands and said it was their policy to do so. And when the Meads met with them and tried to challenge what was going on and ask them to stop, the school said they wouldn't stop because they had to. This was policy. And that's something we're seeing around the country. And I think a court's going to step in and stop that, because schools shouldn't be making these decisions for parents.
Low down and dirty. That's what that is. Just low down and dirty. I mean, the nerve of them. And then said they're not going to stop. Ooh, I'm glad I never had to go through such things, because, honey, they would have had to call the law. I'm going to tell you that right now. They would have had to call the law. That's how that would have gone, honey, please. Because I would have gotten real ghetto. Please pay attention. I'm not above getting ghetto, honey. I think you all should know that by now. Okay, so let's move right along. So Michael Strahan, his daughter, his beautiful daughter, has cancer. She was diagnosed with cancer a few months ago. She was off at college and she started having really excruciating headaches. And it turns out she has cancer. It's all very sad.
Good morning.
Oops, I didn't mean to start it right there. But so anyway, they decided to share her story, hopefully so she could help someone else or whatever. And I think this is also a part of her healing process. So please pay attention.
Good morning.
This morning, our dear friend Michael, side by side with his daughter Isabella.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. As they reveal what they've been facing over the last few months. Papa Bear, Papa Bear. Oh, how proud are you of your daughter for wanting to take control and to be the one to share her story?
I mean, I'm very proud of her. And she's always been strong. And this is something that is so personal That I didn't know if it would be something that she would want to share. I'm extremely proud, Robin.
I'd know that smile anywhere. Isabella, how are you doing at this very moment? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, not too bad. I don't know, I'm very excited for this whole process to wrap, but you just have to keep living every day, I think, through the whole thing.
Soon after starting college at the University of Southern California this past fall, the then 18-year-old freshman begins experiencing excruciating headaches, unlike any she's had before.
I didn't notice anything was off till probably September, like October 1st. That's when I definitely noticed headaches, nausea, couldn't walk straight.
And what did you think was going on at the time?
I thought I had vertigo, because I looked that up and associated that with walking straight, so that was my problem.
You knew she was having headaches, but did you have any idea how extreme the headaches were?
No. And, 18 years old at the time, you're not thinking this. Maybe it's vertigo, maybe it's something else, but she's young, she's strong, she's healthy. Look at her, she looks great.
A few weeks later, on October 25th, her condition taking a turn for the worst.
I woke up probably at like 1 p.m. I dreaded waking up, but I was throwing up blood, and my sister, I was like, this probably isn't good. So I texted her, who then notified the whole family.
And then that was when we decided you need to really go get a thorough checkup. And thank goodness for the doctor. I feel like this doctor saved her life.
She did an EKG there for my heart and like other stuff, but she didn't have an MRI machine. So I went to take it somewhere else, and then she calls me and she's like, you need to head to Cedars-Sinai right now. I'm gonna meet you there.
Once the doctor saw the results, called her and told her just get to the hospital, but did not tell her why.
Doctors suddenly telling Isabella she's developed a fast-growing 4-centimeter tumor in the back of her brain. Its size larger than a golf ball. And you knew about the brain tumor before Isabella.
Yeah.
We all
journey in a new YouTube series.
So I just started it, and it's difficult because when I was trying to see other people who have been affected, I think it's like 5 in a million, so it's not very common. And one person I found, I reached out, but...
Here you go, baby.
Okay, take your time.
Okay.
I told myself I was gonna cry.
It's okay.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. You're allowed to cry.
It's been like 2 months of keeping it quiet, which is definitely difficult. I don't want to like hide it anymore because it's hard to always keep it in hope to just kind of be a voice and be a person people who maybe are going through chemotherapy or radiation can look at and find something interesting about their day.
One of the good things is with the YouTube channel is that it's going to it's going to help their.
Oh, that's all so sad. I hate to see it. Prayers for her. I hope she gets through this. This is very sad. And she has a very aggressive form of a brain tumor, the size of a golf ball. Honey, let me tell you something. These things can sometimes work quickly to take your life. I saw my cousin in July of 2014. I went to visit. And then in September, I called my aunt, his mother, to see how she was doing. And she told me that she was taking him to the hospital. And I'm like, for what? She said he fell when he was helping his sister move. And she said he may have twisted his ankle or something because he fell again the next day. And so we're not thinking it's anything serious. But when they got there and they did all the tests and everything, they said he had an astrocytoma, which is a brain tumor that's very aggressive. It looks like tentacles wrapped around your brain. So it's inoperable. I mean, it looks like somebody put their hand around your brain. It literally looks like 5 fingers or 5 tentacles holding your brain. And so they cannot operate on it. Eventually, the brain just shuts down. So this happened in September. And I called my cousin. I told him I won't be off work until November when Thanksgiving comes. So I'll come down there to see him then. My cousin died like 6 weeks later. My cousin died November the 14th before I could even make it down there. That's how quick it killed him. And I literally had just seen him in July and he seemed so healthy. It's all so sad. All so sad, honey. I hope she gets better. This is so sad. She's just a young girl in college and all that stuff. And she has a twin sister too. And so prayers for her and her family. Scoop said that you're glad yours is an aggregate. Right. Thank God for that, beloved. Melanie said they wonder why people snap. No parents should be reduced to that mess. Right. They are to that mess. They are a cult. Who are you talking about? It's a cult, Melanie. I must have missed something, beloved. They're a cult. Scoop said aggressive. Okay. Miss Peach said, Queen, I'm in the same kind of predicament. My oldest son has Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer and has lost his hair. His nails are dark and can barely walk. I'm so sorry to hear that, beloved. Oh, I hate to hear stuff like that. Prayers for you and your son. Reggie said, get your headache checked out and monitor your blood pressure. Absolutely. Also said, the devil is busy. Pay attention. Working overtime, in fact. Now, this right here, what I'm about to show you all, this really don't have anything to do with anything because this happened like a couple of months ago. But when I saw this video, I was crying because this man was going in. This man was literally going in. They're trying to, the judge was trying to give somebody a hard time about not acknowledging the subpoena. But you'll see why the man went in on them in just a second. Let me pull this up.
Mr. Chairman, is this a joke? No, seriously, is this hearing a joke? This is a committee that now cares about subpoena compliance, and we're going to hold somebody in contempt for subpoena compliance? That's really interesting because to me, it seems like you believe we all had our memories wiped 608 days ago when you failed to honor your own subpoena. You see, on May 31, 2022, as the January 6th committee was investigating the greatest crime ever committed in America with the most arrests, the most convictions, a crime against our Congress, our Constitution, our democracy, all they wanted was for you and a few of your colleagues to cooperate, to provide any information you had. And what you all did for 608 days and counting, you didn't show up. And you want us to take this proceeding seriously, where you have an issue with somebody else's compliance with a subpoena? Somebody who actually is willing to come forward publicly, something you were not willing to do, something you and Mr. McCarthy and others who were asked to testify were not willing to do. So seriously, is this a joke? If it's a joke, great. This whole Congress has been a joke, so it would be in line and on brand with what has been taking place. But I have to ask, like, how dumb do you think the American people are that you would seek to hold someone in contempt when you are 608 days, 15 hours, 21 minutes, and 47 seconds out of compliance of your own subpoena? I don't know, Mr. Chairman, if it is your practice to look the other way when crimes are committed, but it's not my practice, and it's not my colleagues' practice. So what is this really all about? It's about this chairman, Speaker Johnson, and the MAGA majority acting as Insurrection LLP, creating the biggest law firm in Washington, D.C., to work every single day in this building on behalf of just one client, the former president, Donald Trump, and to carry out his petty grievances every single day. Okay, that's great. You won the majority. It's your prerogative. But the cost to the American people is we aren't doing a single thing in this committee to address gun violence, the mass shootings that occurred in the 3 weeks that we were gone. We haven't done anything to address what's going on at the border, a president who's willing to negotiate and find ways to better secure it. We're not doing anything to bring...
I'm sorry, he wasn't talking to a judge. He was talking to the chairman, but it was all nefarious. So you're really sitting up there complaining and want to hold somebody in contempt for not acknowledging the subpoena, and you didn't acknowledge yours yet? I find it also interesting. I mean, it's the entitlement for me, but isn't this what MAGA country always does? Please pay attention, honey. Out there in Trump land, Is that what they call it? Speaking of Trump land, here's the former president, okay, talking about him needing immunity.
Former President Donald Trump speaking after a pivotal hearing on whether he is immune from prosecution.
You can't have a president without immunity. You have to have, as a president, you have to be able to do your job. But if this didn't work out, if I wasn't given immunity, then other presidents, when we talked about today, President Obama with the drone strikes, which were very bad. They were mistakes, terrible mistakes. And you really can't put a president in that position. So I think most people understand it, and we feel very confident that eventually, hopefully at this level, but eventually we win. A president has to have immunity.
This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, here with my co-hosts Kayleigh McEnany and Emily Campagno. Also joining us today, host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast, Kennedy, and Fox News contributor and professor of medicine at NYU Langone Medical Center, Dr. Mark Siegel. The hearing wrapped up earlier this morning, and a decision from a 3-judge panel is expected to come within days. Donald Trump's attorneys argued that prosecuting a former president would open a Pandora's box.
To authorize the prosecution of a president for his official acts would open a Pandora's box from which this nation may never recover.
The special counsel's office urged the judges to deny Trump's immunities claims, saying no president is above the law.
What kind of world are we living in if, as I understood my friend on the other side to say here, a president orders his SEAL team to assassinate a political rival and resigns, for example, before an impeachment? Not a criminal act.
The critical point there to me, Dr. Siegel, was the president sort of laying everything out for America in his own words. He's flanked by attorneys and all of that, as only really he does.
He's so articulate, but notice that he said a president has to have immunity, but actually nobody's really contesting that while he's president, he has immunity. The question is about a former president. Does a former president have immunity? And, you know, Nixon, Fitzgerald in 1982 protected President Nixon from civil action, but not necessarily against criminal action. And I think, though, on the other hand, Trump's coming out and speaking is really good because this is playing out as a circus because the Democrats seem to be trying to push this process. And right now, with what's going on, it's not going to play out in the time that the Democrats want because Trump is going to appeal and because it's not going to go to the Supreme Court so fast. The Supreme Court already said that.
Right. Yeah. You know, Kayleigh, that's an excellent point that Doc Siegel makes. And by slowing down the timeline, Special Counsel Jack Smith gets caught in between, well, it might not be March 4th, 2 days before Super Tuesday. So then what does it look like? Closer to an election, if he's chosen to be the nominee for Republicans in the primary season, are you really going to go after that person? It gets complicated.
It gets very complicated. And look, a lot of this is going to depend on how swiftly the appeals court rules here. You heard President Trump's attorney say, if you don't grant what we're asking for, we want a hearing en banc. We want to appeal to the Supreme Court. All of this takes time. All of this likely pushing that March date further and further back. And then the question becomes, it's closer and closer to a presidential election. But look, Jonathan Turley said this is an uphill battle argument that's being made. And I listened to the oral arguments. The judges seem very skeptical. But put this defense of the president aside, this immunity defense, and I just want to look at this a little more broadly. And I say that because, look, impeachment was designed for high crimes and misdemeanors, but then you had Bill Clinton impeached, you had Jackson impeached, and all of a sudden used twice against Trump, and now it's trying to be used against Biden. You have...
Okay, I've heard enough. Now, with that all being said, Michelle Obama had something to say, because Michelle said, whatever you do, you gotta get Trump and keep him out of office, okay? And then pay attention to how Trump was still hating and throwing shade at Obama, talking about Obama with those drone strikes. Trump, this is not about Obama, okay? Obama's been out of office, all right? So worry about yourself because you're not getting immunity. That's just that.
She's raising some alarm bells as far as 2024 is concerned. She says she's terrified, her word, terrified about the election. Listen to this.
What's going to happen in this next election? I am terrified about what could possibly happen because our leaders matter. Who we select, who speaks for us, who holds that bully pulpit. It affects us in ways that sometimes I think people take for granted.
Very stark warning from her about the challenges that Democrats face coming up in November.
Right. Look, she's never been shy about these kinds of things. And it also, don't forget that her husband, Barack Obama, recently met with Joe Biden and gave some advice about what he ought to do with his campaign. That is, maybe move some of the people from the White House to the campaign. And so I think, this is a couple that talks to each other. And I think you can presume that they both feel the same way. They're looking at the same polls that we're looking at. They're looking at the fact that he's losing a lot of key constituencies, like younger voters and Hispanic voters. And so I think she's speaking her truth, as we say, and she's not shy about it.
It's old.
At the end of the day, Michelle is trying to get us to vote for those Democrats again, or shall I say Democrats. My thing is, I don't want Trump or Biden in office, okay? I'm sick of them. And Biden, talking about Obama went to give Biden some advice. I've got some advice for him. Go ahead and take that room that I got you booked at Shady Pines, okay, next to the window so you can watch the grass grow. At the end of the day, do anything except get back in that Oval Office. That's all I'm saying. I have had enough. Haven't y'all had enough? This is all crazy. The end of the day. I would say it like this. If Biden or Trump gets in office, I'm going to need me several drinks. Pay attention. I'm going to need me several drinks on that day. I mean, anybody but either of them. I mean, when you ask yourself and you really think about it, who could be worse? Who could be worse? Okay, let Dr. Shiva get in there, not these two. So with that all being said, Michael said Barack met with Biden. Okay, that was a one-sided conversation. Yeah, it surely was. I'm sure whatever Barack told Biden went in one ear and literally out the other, and that's because there's nothing between his two ears. There is nothing there, okay? Absolutely not. Now, I'm ready to hear Stephen A. Smith go in on Jason Hamhock Whitlock, as I call him. I'm going to put an overlay on the screen, and we're going to hear what Stephen A. Smith had to say, because Stephen posted about this yesterday, saying that he was recording it right then, and make sure you tune in. All right. So let me put an overlay on the screen so we can hear this.
At least that appears to be the case. I'm a huge fan of Aaron Rodgers. I don't agree with what he alluded to, whether intentional or unintentional. Aaron Rodgers alluded to Jimmy Kimmel being on the Epstein list. Period. I'm not saying it was intentional. I'm not saying it was vicious. I'm not labeling it or judging it accordingly. I'm saying what impact it had. Because of the impact, you apologize. And I personally think he apologized. Doesn't stop me from loving Aaron Rodgers. He's a bad man. Got mad love for him. Wish I could watch him on the air talking about sports, not rambling about COVID and immunization and vaccines and all of that stuff. Even though some points he was making, I heard him loud and clear, because there's a lot of people that believe, just like he believes, that our government spent a lot of time lying to us, but that's a different subject for another day. But that brother is an all-world quarterback, a future Hall of Famer. And when he wants to talk football, don't tell me we don't want to hear what he has to say. Still got love for him. Just wish he had apologized to Jimmy Kimmel. That's all I have to say about that particular subject, because I got deeper subjects on my mind right now. Jason Whitlock. I said that name. It's not a name I've uttered. I normally don't do that, but it's necessary to do now. I've had enough of that fat bastard, that piece of shit. And I want to make sure that before I go to break, I want anyone out there who watches me, anyone out there who knows me, anyone out there, no matter what you think of me, I want you to remember, I never talk about him. I never talk about my colleagues. I don't do that. This is a first, but it's necessary. And when I say don't talk about them, I don't mean don't talk about them literally. I don't get in on them like I'm about to do now. I literally called my pastor and asked for his forgiveness and understanding in advance because he's not going to recognize the person he's about to hear. I did the same when I emailed the bosses at ESPN. This is my podcast. I own and operate this. I do what I want on this podcast. But it doesn't mean that I still don't harbor a responsibility to at least give my daytime employers a heads up as to what I'm about to do. My sisters, my nieces and nephews, my boys in the industry, everybody that I could reach out to in time has been warned. It's time for me to address this. I'm only going to do it once. Because this bastard is worth less than a damn cockroach. He wanted my attention. He's got it. The Stephen A. Smith Show. Up next. Don't touch that dial. We'll deal with the fat bastard himself right now. Let's roll.
This is all crazy.
What's that? What you put in the desk box on my desk?
Open it. Just open it. Just open it.
You couldn't have opened it for me? What? Yeah. My new book on paperback. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. It works for me. It works for me. Y'all see this? New foreword and all. Stephen A. in paperback, straight shooter, memoir, second chances and first takes. I haven't gotten over that picture. It does look pretty smooth. I must say so myself. It's a bestseller. I'll hold on to this. Hope you go out and get it. Thank y'all so much for the love and support. Wouldn't be here without you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show, right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. By the way, that quote from Aaron Rodgers about Jimmy Kimmel, which initially sparked this whole brouhaha, was, quote, there's a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, that are really hoping that list doesn't come out. That's what he had said. Couldn't find it for some reason. I apologize. Let me get back to the subject at hand. Ladies and gentlemen, as a black man sitting in this seat, the level of vitriol that I have to absorb is something that I understand 99.99% of the time. You're a former player and you want to crucify me, that's fine. You're somebody that was involved in some kind of public incident that I had to speak on, whether you're the wife or ex-girlfriend or some of a former player, whatever, I get it. You're a present-day athlete and you don't like my evaluation of what has transpired before our very eyes and what I'm witnessing, that's cool. But I swear to you, on everything that I love, it's not personal. I'm a sports reporter and sports commentator. That is what I have been throughout my career. It is my responsibility to tell you what I see through my lens, how I feel about it, what my perspective is, etc. It's not like I'm sitting at home with absolutely nothing to do and no obligation to touch on anything, but I feel the need to invoke and ingratiate my thoughts, opinions, etc., upon the world. I actually get paid to do this. And because of that, sometimes my opinions, my thoughts, my feelings, etc., are things that you would not like. But I have never lied to you. Ever. If I wrote a story or I wrote an article, it's based on the things that I've been told, what I've seen, and what I feel. It is rare that I talk about myself on a personal level because my personal life is not anybody's business and I don't get into other people's personal life. It's not something that I do. Many figures in the world of sports find themselves in personal situations, not lawlessness, not unlawful things or anything like that, but there's plenty of situations, Michael, Sherry, Juvie, where I've seen certain things and I turned a blind eye and a deaf ear to it because it's none of my business. And I leave it alone. And one of the other things that I never do, I never attack my colleagues. I might disagree with something somebody says or does, and I might have an obligation to speak on it because it's in the news or whatever, but I don't speak against my colleagues. Once humanity comes into play, that's a given. Here's the other. That's not real work. Think about this for a second. I'm supposed to be covering sports, but I make a career out of talking about my colleagues. That ain't work. That's you finding some slick way to get a check because you can't get a job. That's Jason Whitlock. That's who the hell he is. Now, I have sat back for years, at least 9 to 10 years, saying absolutely nothing about this man. I never uttered the words fat bastard out of my mouth until a few months ago. So that means that the previous 9 years, you never heard me speak on him at all. But now it's necessary. Excuse me. Because you see, if you listen to the fat bastard, I didn't play high school ball, even though my coach's name was Harvey Stoller. It was Thomas A. Edison Vocational and Technical High School. I played there my senior year. I was in a basketball tournament at Fashion Institute of Technology where I dropped 27 points and got a scholarship because the coach came calling me after that and what have you. If you listen to him, I never had a scholarship to Winston-Salem State, even though it's on the books. Just call the university. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'm an honorary doctorate member. I have an honorary doctorate from Winston-Salem State University because of my contributions to Winston-Salem State. I'm called Dr. Smith. Has something to also do with the contributions that I make because I believe about upliftment. I'm an ambassador for HBCU Week, and I partnered with Ashley Christopher and Mayor Persicki in Delaware and others to generate over 10,000 scholarships in excess of over $65 million.
Okay, I thought he was going to be talking about Jason, but instead he's talking about himself. Bragging on himself. Now, what did Jason say about him for him to be doing all of this? Can someone please tell the queen what did Jason Hamhawk Whitlock say about this man? Jason said he didn't have a scholarship. What else did he say? Because he's clearly pressed. He's very pressed. Vince I am said Agent Smith stuck in the Matrix. Chris Bessie said ambassador of HBCUs. Hold on. Wayne World said, is this really a beef at this stage of the game? These two having a spat. Shake it back. Not a spat. They're having a quarrel. He had everybody waiting for it like he was really going to go in, and then he just calls him a fat bastard. That's all. That's the best you can do. absolutely cannot. I absolutely cannot. Timber Dan said narcissist much. Okay, sitting there just bragging about himself. Oh, I absolutely can't. Okay, so enough about him. I'm about to get out of here. Let me play this video of this little girl that I thought was cute. Let me play this little video of this little girl. She's doing a video and she's trying to play pretend. I thought it was a cute little video. It made me laugh for the day. Pay attention.
What's the matter? Do you miss me? Yeah? You're coming to school anyway. But I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi guys, so we're playing teachers today. So, did I just make you a table? I have to put the kettle on. So we're playing teachers. Do you want to come round and come to school? Yeah? You're coming now. Okay. See you soon. Bye.
She said we're playing teachers today and sitting there eating candy. Let me tell y'all something. People are so low down. They were picking on the little girl in the comments. Somebody said, oh, her parents need to get her teeth fixed before it's too late. She's a kid. She has plenty of time to get her teeth. And those are not even her permanent teeth, likely. Okay. And then somebody said, what is she hiding in her cheeks? I mean, people on the internet can be so low down and nefarious. Okay. They can be so low down and nefarious. Now, who does that? Who says that about a little kid? Wayne Russell, who did her makeup? She was probably playing dress up. Nessa X says she is so cute. She is with her little fat cheeks, okay? And I love her accent. So anyway, like I said, that makes me laugh. When I'm looking for something to laugh about, I always look up little kids doing stuff because they're hilarious. Okay, so with that all being said, I'm out of here. And just to let you all know, I don't know what went on with those so-called creatures that were at the Miami Mall, because you had people saying different stories. They had people trolling, pretending they were there but weren't. It was one person who told the story that I felt like they were telling the truth and accurate depiction. But now it has come to my attention that now they're saying that they saw aliens on a Brazilian hill. Did you all hear about that? Desmond sent me the video. I haven't watched it yet, but I have to look into it. Ray said, have you seen the African boys and the girl dancing? Yes. Yes, I did. Sadly. I also saw these, you talk about dancing provocatively, doing the most. That's what I saw. But I also saw these kids on stripper poles. These little girls, their parents took them to a place and were letting them learn how to pole dance. I'm like, why? Where's this going? What are we doing here? Make it all make sense. Make it all make sense. And it wasn't just black people, though most of them were black. I mean, it's just all crazy. This is what y'all are teaching your kids, not the ABCs, not teaching them trigonometry or calculus so they can be ahead of the game, so they can get to college when they're like 12 or 13. I mean, make it all make sense. This is what your ambitions for your children are? It's all crazy. Pink Blue said, excellent broadcast. Thank you, beloved. Yeah, I meant to talk to you all about that, but I forgot to get the video. Reggie said, no, they were doing choreography to hip hop. Let me tell you something, Reggie. They can call, oh, you talking about the little African kids? Oh, no, I didn't see that, beloved. I had to look for that. But in the meantime, these people that were taking them little girls to do stripper dances on the pole, that's all crazy to me. Okay? I don't know what's going on. Reggie said, very past the Dutchie. Past the Dutch on the left-hand side. Reggie, you took it all the way back. Okay, my aunt Egypt said pimping out children. Yes, this is what they were doing. This is all crazy. Okay, so anyway, everyone, Laverne said we're doomed. Clearly, okay? Clearly. So anyway, everyone enjoy the rest of this lovely day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. All right? Reggie said they had so much personality. Okay, I'm going to try to find it, beloved. Juju said, love you to life, queen. I love you right black, okay? So I will talk to you all again in the morning for your morning wake-up call. Until next time, beloveds, enjoy your day. Now let's leave out of here on Cats Remix. DJ, turn it up, and I won't stop burning you down until there ain't nothing left. Rubble on top of rubble, and I'll still be bombing. Look like a wall, Richard. Look like a wall.
say no. Look like a wall, Richie. Look like a wall, you didn't say no. Nobody knows why liars lie. Winners are not allowed to allow losers to rewrite history. It's God's side and the other side. Country bumpkin, black blue, that can't talk good. Uber can be and look like Mr. Potato Head. I didn't want to be a movie star. No, you couldn't be a movie star. Ricky Smiley can't act. Cause Ricky Smiley can't act. Why is he in a dress again? He didn't be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. Sid ain't got no special, you remember? Eve ain't got no special, you remember? Ricky ain't got no special, you remember? Sir, I have 12 comedy specials. If you Diddy or whoever you is, TVJ, 20 of them. I won't stop burning you down until there ain't nothing left. Rubble on top of rubble, and I'll still be bombing. Look like a wall, Richie. Look like a wall. You didn't say no.